Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. Yes, today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 27th September 2021. Okay, so before starting the lecture, as it is Monday, so yes, since last week we have come up with a new idea. So Monday motivation, wherein we'll try to understand some of the quotations, some motivating aspects for you who are preparing, and we know that there will be some times where you will feel demotivated, and to keep you motivated from week on week let's say basis, we will try to look into some aspects. We expect that it will motivate you. So again, Gandhiji's quote, which says that be the change you want to see in the world. We all know about this quote, but I believe that very few of us reflect on it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Okay, so some of the quotation based questions are asked in the ethics paper also. Right, every year 3 quotation based questions are asked. Yet, yes, screen is not okay. Just a moment. Is it visible now? No. Yes? थोड़ा ब्राइटनेस कम करो और शायद उससे. Yes, it is visible, right? Okay, let us continue. We are talking about this quotation here, be the change you want to see in the world. So we all know that Gandhiji, who was a leader, a philosopher also, and he himself was following this philosophy of purity of means. He always say that to achieve the right end, we need to follow the right means. Okay, or ethical means, we say that. Okay, so when we talk about be the change you want to see in the world, he was saying that whenever we say that you should change this, you should change that. Okay, we talk about like this, right? Whenever we say that anything wrong going on in the society, in our family, you should do this, we should do that. But Gandhiji was of the view that instead of changing the world or remaking the world, we should remake ourselves first. And when all individuals will remake our, let's say, themselves, automatically the world will change for the good. Okay, so that's why he was saying that be the change you want to see in the world. He himself followed this philosophy in his own life. We all know that his book, let's say, My Experiments with the Truth. So in that book itself, he has said that how he himself applied all these philosophies in his own life and then later on preached. Right? Are you getting this? Okay, so all great personalities have followed these principles in their life. For example, be it Nelson Mandela or other, let's say, great personalities, they themselves first implemented whatever they believed in and then preached to others. Automatically, let's say, all the world will change when the people themselves will change accordingly. So this is what you need to also implement in your own life also. Okay, so whatever you believe in, okay, or you are trying to say to others, okay, so if you have a younger brother or sister and you are telling them that you should do this, you should do that, you should first reflect upon yourself whether you are following the same thing. Okay, so everyone should do that. Whether you are you are telling that the passerby to follow the signal, and if you are not following the signal by yourself, then it is not good. Okay, so simple examples are there in your day-to-day life routine. You should follow such things. Okay, and then ultimately we will expect that the society will change for the good. Okay, yes. Now, moving on to today's agenda, let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. These are the important articles. On page number 6, some important articles related to mains examination. So, first of all, we will take overview of all these articles, then we will discuss them. Okay, first, accountability of investigating agencies. There is one article written by former judge, Supreme Court judge, and he is talking about accountability of investigating agencies. Specifically in this article, the officials of Income Tax Department who raided recently some of the newspaper offices. Okay, so that's why he is talking about the accountability of those investigating agencies here, because some lacunas are there. There is some kind of lack of rule of law involved here and breach of fundamental rights also. So which are these? We will talk about that. Okay, so GS2 paper, polity and governance. Then there is one article which analyzes the outcome of PM's visit to US. So in that, two important events, bilateral visit with US President and Quad meeting also. Okay, so we'll talk about that from GS2 paper, international relations perspective. And there is again one editorial which talks about the recent controversy over amendment to Rajasthan Compulsory Registration of Marriages Act. Okay, so this is also important from polity perspective and social justice perspective. Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, and what are the issues involved in different, let's say, similar acts in different states also. So article says that rather than, let's say, creating a controversy, that amendment is progressive in protecting rights of those children. Okay, specifically for prelims examination, as we are following Delhi edition here of the Hindu newspaper, you should be also aware about those city pages news, right? So yes, page number 3, Delhi city page talks about Delhi Metro earn 19.5 crore rupees from sale of carbon credits. It talks about clean development mechanism under Kyoto Protocol. It talks about clean development mechanism under Kyoto Protocol. It is one of the market mechanism for carbon offsets. Okay, we'll try to know about that from prelims perspective. Okay, so which are these market mechanisms? Specifically this CDM. Then cyclone Gulab crosses coast near Kalingapattanam, north of, let's say, Andhra Pradesh. Yes, so we are having follow-up of this cyclone Gulab, and the naming of tropical cyclone, whenever such tropical cyclone has landfall on Indian coast, we try to know about basics of tropical cyclone. So today we will try to know about the naming of this tropical cyclone. Already UPSC asked question in mains examination about how these tropical cyclones are named in Indian Ocean region. Okay, so it will be a brief repetition revision for you. Then Iceland elects Europe's first women majority parliament. Okay, so this is good development in terms of, we can say that, women empowerment, and European countries, especially Nordic countries, or we'll say Scandinavian countries, have been at forefront of such gender equality, promoting women in different spheres of public life. Okay, so you can either give this example in essay paper, or GS1 paper society part, GS2 paper social justice part, or even GS4 paper ethics paper whenever the question talks about gender equality. Okay, so in this manner you try to use such references deliberately in your answer. Recent references, examples, not the older ones. Okay, so we'll know about that, and finally practice prelims MCQs. So first article on page number 6, these investigations are face without a heart. Yes, why the word such statement is used as a title of article? It is saying that though we can understand the investigations are necessary, and the investigation agencies like Income Tax Department officials, they are following some rules, but without heart. That means we can say that the spirit of the law is not followed. or we can say the letter side is only followed, the spirit is not followed. That's why we have to understand the context here is recently income tax department officers conducted survey in the premises of NewsClick and News Laundry. These are actually the online news platforms. Okay, these are new online news platforms, and regarding some concerns related to taxation, the income tax officers conducted a survey. Now, what is survey? Okay, so under section 133A of income tax department, income tax officials can conduct a survey. Survey is actually a limited exercise. There are some strict rules regarding that. Basically, survey talks about of, we can say, account books or the cash, we can say some of the important assets and their data. So it is taking a stock of all important, we can say, resources by a company, a particular establishment that are there. So collecting the data about that resources, assets, okay, be it physical assets or cash also. So that data is reviewed by the income tax officials. It is not, let's say, phishing activity. This is how the writer is saying that. Phishing, that means the intention wherein to find whether there are discrepancies, or suppose there are, let's say, होता है ना कि पहले ही एक शक होता है officials को, and then they go on, let's say, on a phishing activity, finding the, let's say, money laundering activities, if they are, let's say, black money is involved or not. So that is a long process and more powers are given for that purpose. But survey is a routine activity, and such routine activity is being used against the journalist or newspaper agencies and individuals also by these investigation agencies to threaten them, and it breaches their fundamental rights also. How? Let us understand. Yes, in this particular case, survey was conducted during the non-office hours also. Non-office hours, survey is supposed to be carried out when the premises are open for business activity. Okay, but in these both cases, the survey was conducted up to midnight or even went on for the second day also, continuously. Okay, so that means it was conducted during the non-office hours also. In this regard, there is specific judgment of Odisha High Court which says that the survey has limited powers and it should be carried out within the office hours or when the premises are open for the business activities only. Okay, and that should be limited only towards surveying of account books, cash and other such assets that are there. Okay, so it is limited, and yes, the court view is also in line with that. Now, the CEO of News Laundry, this particular company, was asked to comply with the on-the-spot directions by these officials without taking legal advice. Now, this is also breach of fundamental right. We all know that even criminals are allowed to have legal advice. And here the civilian whose offense is not at all established, and then he is not allowed. How? His mobile phone was taken away. He was deliberately asked to delete his personal data from the mobile phone. Okay, so this is how the fundamental right to privacy was also breached. Okay. Personal mobile phones, laptop, office machines like PCs, personal computers, we can say, they were taken control of and data in them was downloaded. So data breach. Okay, so all these fundamental rights of the individuals, basically this requires search warrant, right? This requires search warrant, and they were not having such kind of search warrant. Despite of that, they conducted such kind of raid here. Then fundamental rights of speech, freedom of press and privacy suspended during the survey. You need to be aware which fundamental rights. Fundamental right of freedom of speech under Article 19(1)(a), And then we can talk about fundamental right to privacy under Article 21A. Okay, not 21A, Article 21. Okay, right to privacy. Puttaswamy judgment, Supreme Court has said that in that Puttaswamy judgment that right to privacy is inalienable part of Article 21, right to life and personal liberty. Okay, and freedom of press is again part of freedom of speech and expression. Right. So in this manner we should be aware which fundamental rights are being breached here. So yes, ultimately the writer is of the view that the accountability of the investigation agencies, is very important. And second thing we should understand here, the rule of law. Right, so law enforcement agencies are not above law. Right, so this should be ensured, and to some extent it affects the fundamental rights of the people, and especially fundamental rights of, let's say, freedom of press is very important for ensuring democracy. Right, so in this aspect the writer, you can either give this as an example. Whenever the question talks about investigation agencies, law enforcement agencies accessing their powers, or to some extent we can say misusing their powers, right? So you give recent examples. If the direct question is not asked, indirectly use this examples here. Fine? Okay. Any question? Okay. Moving on. Back in the game. Yes. Yes?
Sir, if we follow the fundamental rights of the human according to fundamental rights, the accountability of investigation will come to zero now. They are unable to investigate proper manners. It will be taken as any person under the ACB or NIA. If it given the fundamental rights, they will go and approach to court, and they will come in long duration. The case will go into the one. Then how we can able to accountability will come by following the fundamental rights.
See, already these laws, NIA law is there, UPA law is there, they are draconian in terms of, let's say, to some extent breaching the fundamental rights. But in the name of security of the state, law and order, all these things are there, right? And for that purpose, the fundamental rights can be abridged. For reasonable restrictions, right? The word used in our constitution, right? So one aspect is that one. Second aspect is that there are clear, let's say, guidelines or whatever the rules and regulations are there, they are very clear, but they are not implemented in a spirit. Rather, they are implemented in letter. Okay, so yes, there is 90-day limit on in terms of bail provision also, but it is delayed on procedural aspects when they are not completed, right? So there are some limitations in terms of ensuring or protecting fundamental rights in certain laws, like Public Safety Act is there, or we can say UPA Act is there, NIA Act is there, right? So these acts, in the name of reasonable restrictions, to some extent they affect the fundamental rights. But it is the responsibility of the law enforcement agencies to ensure that the innocent peoples are not implicated. It is their responsibility, right? So yes, surely tomorrow you are going to be those persons, and it is your responsibility also, right? Yes. Moving on to next article, back in the game. So we are talking about the Quad and India-US bilateral meeting that recently happened. The leaders of two countries met. So our Prime Minister visited US for this purpose. So outcome, first of all, let us understand the bilateral meeting with US President. So the focus was on vaccine availability. We all know that what happened during the second wave. So we started with this Vaccine Maitri initiative, exporting these vaccines to other countries, developing as well as underdeveloped countries. But later on, we had a very less number of vaccines, and we had to stop that for ensuring the domestic demand. Okay, so because of that we stopped that, and now recently the government announced that we will again resume that Vaccine Maitri initiative and export. You should be also aware that for manufacturing of these vaccines in India, there is need of some raw material, ingredients, and they are imported from US. And when this Serum Institute of India, which is one of the largest manufacturer of these vaccines, so they demanded some kind of, let's say, yes, those raw material which was supposed to be imported from US actually stopped that export of raw material at that time. It invoked that defense law that is there in US, and through that the export of raw material was stopped. Then our External Affairs Ministry diplomats, they reached out to US and to some extent negotiated. Later on the waiver was provided. Okay, so in this manner we should remember that, let's say, in terms of bilateral relations, what happened in the vaccine cooperation, right? So now all things are cleared out and both countries are on the same page, we will say that. Okay, and Vaccine Maitri initiative is again started, and US is also going to cooperate India in terms of, let's say, the technology also, and further investment in vaccine manufacturing. There is Biological E. Do you know about this Bio E company in, I guess, Hyderabad or Ahmedabad? I'm not remembering exactly. But this company is also going to manufacture vaccines, and US has invested hugely in this company manufacturing. Okay, so ultimately we can say that manufacturing of vaccines in India is going to help to support domestic demand as well as our Vaccine Maitri initiative, and US plays important role in that. Fine. Second thing we should understand is that in terms of bilateral relations, US has again reaffirmed that India is the major security partner or defense partner in terms of co-production and co-development. Use these words in your answer whenever we talk about India-US defense cooperation. Okay, co-development and co-production. For example, recently one project was approved in terms of unmanned air vehicles, of co-development of these unmanned air vehicles between India and US. So yes, US is considering India as important, we can say, yes, Hyderabad based, Telangana. Okay, Bio E company. Okay, so unmanned air vehicles project is also approved. So in this manner, the defense cooperation, let me tell you that whenever we talk about India-US cooperation, at present you should talk about vaccine, you should talk about defense, you should talk about technology cooperation, you should talk about climate change, you should talk about terrorism. So anti-terrorism cooperation. Simply you should be aware about the basics about bilateral cooperation with major countries, and these are with US at present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, ये हो गया आपका US के साथ का आंसर IR का. Talk about all the initiatives. There is technology related initiatives started in let's say previous decade, in 2001 to 2010. There is one important initiative wherein the fund is created between India and US, and that fund is used for technology demonstration and further, let's say, innovation, incubation of that technology. Okay, I'm not exactly remembering the name, but this is the area. Then climate change, we all know that recently there was initiative between India and US. We talked about that, right? Yes. And then anti-terrorism, this is also the area where US always want to have cooperation with India. Yes. Okay, then analysis of the Quad meeting. Yes, so even in the Quad meeting, which were the areas of discussion? So first we can say that vaccine, second clean technology, third we can say peace and stability, anti-terrorism, and then climate change.
Sir, instead of speaking
Yes, peace and stability in Indo-Pacific. Basically, it focuses on Indo-Pacific only, Quad group. Okay, in this manner, we should understand how they cooperate. Okay, it is not at all defense-related alliance. From this discussion itself, you will understand. Okay, so strategic aspects are involved. We will say that, but not the security-related alliance. Fine. Okay. Now, in terms of way forward, what we should understand from this meeting, the gains that we have and the way forward. First thing, from India's perspective, health concerns and economic revival remain at the top of policy agenda. So whenever we are meeting with these developed countries, US, Australia, Japan, or some of the European countries, at present, the policy agenda is health concern, be related to vaccines or drugs, and the second is economic revival. So for that purpose, the trade. Okay, so be related to exports, imports, and all these things. So for that purpose, we should understand it. Then this is the time for India to rapidly deepen the cooperative initiatives with US regarding vaccines, trade, and continue engaging vigorously for Quad or regional stability. So three things are there. First, we can talk about vaccines. Second, trade, and third, strategic, regional stability. In IR, there is one language of IR section, international relations. You should use that language in your answers. Okay, regional stability, economic cooperation, strategic aspects, or let's say defense cooperation. All these things should be used in your answers whenever we talk about international relations. Fine? Okay. Now, moving on, needless row. There is one editorial talks about the amendment to this particular law of Rajasthan. Okay, so what is the name? Rajasthan Compulsory Registration of Marriage Act 2009. This was recently amended, and some of the sections of society has raised concern over this. Even National Human Rights Commission has also raised some concerns, but they are not actually understanding the motive behind these amendments. Rather, these amendments are progressive amendments. They bring some clarity in protecting rights of these children. Let us understand how. Yes, the background here, this law particularly based on the Supreme Court verdict in Seema versus Ashwini Kumar 2007, which in this Supreme Court has said that all marriages should be registered. All marriages should be registered. Okay, in this aspect, all state governments, they have implemented their own laws, which let's say talks about registering all marriages. All marriages, in a sense, even child marriages also. But let us understand that our basic law, which talks about prohibition of child marriage 2006, and that says that there is prohibition of child marriage. Of course, that means those gaining the age of 18 for women and 21 for men. So then the marriage will be considered as legal, and then only we can say that can be registered. Otherwise, it will be a child marriage. It will be declared as child marriage, right? Otherwise. So this clarity was not there in some of the states' laws, like for example this Rajasthan law, and this brings clarity now. Let us understand, the original law do not exclude the registration of child marriages. Okay, it does not exclude the child marriages registration, rather it tries to register them, but simultaneously now it will provide those, let's say, responsible for prohibition of child marriages. There are some, let's say, government machineries who are responsible for protecting the children from such kind of child marriages. They will be intimated now. Okay, that there is some kind of child marriage happened there. Okay, they will be intimated, and let's say it will help in protecting the rights. How? Amendment only changes the age at which the obligation to register shifts from parents or guardians to the parties to the marriage. How? initially or earlier, when the age, both of them, when they attained age of 21 years, then they themselves voluntarily can registered by going to the office, registration office. But if they are married before 21 years of age, like the girl may be married after 18 years of age, but the parents of that girl had responsibility to register that marriage. This was actually the problematic provision in that law. Now, by ensuring that the those who are married now, let's say if the boy is of 21 age and the girl is of 18 years of age, now they themselves can register the marriage. Now they themselves can be registering this marriage. Up till now, what used to happen, this provision was being misused by the parents. Suppose there is, let's say, voluntary marriage, suppose there is love marriage is happening, and suppose the girl is above 18 years of age, that is legal age, but as the registration was dependent on the guardians or parents, because of that there was some kind of pressure to break that marriage. Informally, right? It is not registered yet. Okay, so that pressure will be relieved, and these individuals who are marrying according to their will, according to their choice, they will be able to register themselves now. Second thing is that registration is very important for these, because it will be helpful in further taking benefits of the government schemes. Okay, or suppose, let's say, some document is required for the, let's say, the couple is married. Many let's say government schemes and all these things are there. So certification is required for that purpose. Now the voluntary certification will be available, right? The parents are not involved in that. This is how it is helping. Then under the law, child marriages are not void, but only voidable at the instance of one of the parties who may approach the court for nullifying the marriage within 2 years of attaining majority. This is also, we can say, to some extent problematic provision. Child marriages are not void, rather only voidable. What is meaning of this? Yes?
They are not legally, मतलब जब कोर्ट जाएंगे तभी illegal होगा,
यस, कोर्ट को अप्रोच करेंगे तभी इलीगल होगा अगर वो चाहते हैं तो. दैट मीन्स वॉट एवर द चाइल्ड मैरिज दैट हैज ऑलरेडी टेकन प्लेस, इफ इट इज अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर विल, दैट विल बी रजिस्टर्ड. That will be registered. However, if suppose one of the party, if suppose the girl is saying that it is against her will, it happens, child marriage largely it is against the girl's will. Okay, and if the girl decides after attaining age of 18 and goes to the court that I want to nullify that marriage, it will happen. It will be acting as a base that it happened as a child marriage and therefore it will be voidable. In this manner we should understand, and therefore it protects the rights of underage brides especially, because the choice, and we can say that there is some kind of compulsion in the patriarchal families, especially in rural areas. In some of the pockets still the child marriage is practiced, and we can say that the rights of the young brides, underage brides, they are violated here, and we all know that the consequences of child marriages. Okay, the huge impact that the girls are facing because of child marriage not only is in terms of health and education, but the psychological trauma they bear with them in the future years. In this manner we should understand the rights here. So way forward, there is long pending recommendation of law commission in this regard, that the amendment should be done to the 2006 law prohibition of child marriage, in which the amendment should be included in terms of, let's say, the same provision here, that those child marriages which has happened between the 16 to 18 years of age, they should be voidable after attaining the legal age. They should be voidable after attaining this age. Okay, this provision should be there in central law also. This particular provision is in Rajasthan law, state law, but the central law does not have that provision. Okay, so this is long pending recommendation that should be included. So you can give the reference of such commissions and their recommendations in your answer. Fine? Okay. Now, specifically for prelims related developments, this particular article on page number 3, CT page, Delhi Metro earned 19.5 crore rupees from the sale of carbon credits. This is good thing. Delhi Metro is always at forefront in terms of clean technology, completing the projects in advance. The efficiency it has shown always, it is remarkable, right? So Delhi Metro has said that it has earned this much amount from the sale of 3.55 million carbon credits collected over the period of 6 years from 2012 to 2018. Okay, so yes, background, in 2007, Delhi Metro became the first metro or railway project in the world to be registered by UN under Clean Development Mechanism. It was first such metro or railway project in the world to be registered under this project. What is this Clean Development Mechanism? Let us understand. Kyoto Protocol, which was signed in 2007, this Kyoto Protocol as a part of, we can say, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, right? So under this, there are 3 market mechanisms. Which are these 3 market mechanisms? One is Clean Development Mechanism, other is joint implementation, and third is carbon credits, or we can say emission trading. These exact name you should be remembering. 3 market mechanisms: Clean Development Mechanism, joint implementation, sorry, JI is there, joint implementation, and emission trading. Okay, so specifically let us talk about this Clean Development Mechanism. CDM is actually the project based greenhouse gas offset mechanism under Kyoto Protocol, allowing public and private sector in high income nations. Basically these are Annexure B countries in this Kyoto Protocol. There are Annexure A, Annexure B and non-Annexure countries. Okay, so these are developed countries like Australia, US, UK. They give the opportunity to purchase the carbon credits from greenhouse gas emissions reducing projects in low and middle income nations, that is non-Annexure countries like India, China. Okay, so as a part of their efforts to meet international emission targets under Kyoto Protocol. Let me give you some background here. Kyoto Protocol provides for categorization of different countries under annexures, Annexure A, Annexure B and non-Annexure countries. Annexure A and Annexure B countries, largely they are developed and emerging economies. Okay, and non-Annexure countries are developing and underdeveloped countries. So it was decided that Annexure A and Annexure B countries will have some kind of obligations in terms of emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, and these are legal obligations under Kyoto Protocol. If they are not followed, there will be penalty. Now many a times some of the countries will not be able to follow those obligations. There will be excess emissions, and to offset those excess emissions, what these countries can do, they can buy carbon credits from non-Annexure countries like India who are implementing energy efficient technologies or projects, who are reducing greenhouse gas emissions in their own countries. So basically it is offsetting mechanism. On one place you are emitting in excess, on other place you are reducing the emissions. These reduced emissions, they will get some kind of carbon credits in terms of certificates, and these will sell these certificates to these countries. Okay, In this transaction, what will happen? These will pay money to these countries for these carbon offsets or these carbon credits, and from that these will receive funds for those carbon offsets, and these will what we can say, by acquiring these carbon credits, it will help these countries to ensure the obligations for this Kyoto Protocol. This is how the market mechanisms work, especially this clean development mechanism. This is the process of carbon offsetting. This is different than, we can say, that reduction in the carbons, or we will say that the carbon credits which are used, basically you need to understand, in this process we are not reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. Are we reducing greenhouse gas emissions? Just we are offsetting it from one part of the world to other part of the world. This is called as carbon offsetting phenomenon. Okay, foundation batch, we are going to learn this in environment section. Okay, what is carbon offsetting, carbon credits and all these things. Yes, now the CDM project generates emissions credits called as certified emission reductions, CERs, which are then bought and traded in the international market. Okay, and one CER is equal to 1 ton of carbon dioxide equivalent emission of greenhouse gases. Okay, so this is how it is being reduced. Fine, this can be asked in prelims examination. Okay, is this clear? Now this project, Delhi Metro project, how it is energy efficient? There is one particular technology used here, that is called as regenerative braking project. Regenerative braking project. In this manner, what they do is, whenever the metro, whenever there is brake is applied in the metro, so there is some kind of charging of battery happens. Okay, this is called as regenerative braking technology. This was actually my project in mechanical engineering, final year, regenerative braking system. So wherein it is sustainable, right? So brake is always applied, frequently applied, and because of that, what they are doing, it is the technology helps in production of energy itself through friction, generally in general language. And yes, this is helping in reducing the energy consumption, overall energy consumption. In this manner, we should remember this regenerative braking technology. Okay, moving on. Cyclone Gulab crosses coast near Kalingapatnam. Yes, so this is the present development, and yes, in a day or two there will be landfall along the Odisha coast and Andhra Pradesh coast. Yes, Cyclone Gulab crosses North Andhra Pradesh and South Odisha coast about 20 kilometer north of Kalingapatnam on Sunday evening, triggering widespread rain in the region. Odisha has already evacuated 40,000 people from the coastal areas. There are two seasons of tropical cyclones. In geography, we learned about this. Tropical cyclones in an Indian Ocean region. Which are these two seasons? First season, September-October month, and second season is during summer, March-April-May month. Okay. So every year we expect such tropical cyclones forming and strengthening in Indian Ocean, especially in Bay of Bengal, and then there are chances that they make landfall along the eastern coast of India. Okay, so every year Odisha and Andhra Pradesh coast faces such situation where the tropical cyclone, though it is just a tropical storm, it is not, let's say, super cyclone, the wind speed is considerably less. Fine? Yes, so naming of tropical cyclone we will quickly understand, and somewhere another time we will try to learn about the basics like structure of the cyclone and all these things. In 2000, a group of nations called as World Meteorological Organization WMO and United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, let's say, they formed a group of countries comprised of Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand. So these 8 countries first came together and decided to naming the cyclones in Indian Ocean, originating in Indian Ocean. After each country sent suggestion, they prepared, let's say, list, final list. Then later on in 2018, 5 more countries were added to this list. Now it is of 13 countries. Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE and Yemen was added later on. Originally 8 countries were there. 2018, 5 more, and now total 13. And last year it was in news because the list was revised. Okay, so list of 169 cyclone names. 169, 13 countries provide 13 names. The square of 13, 169. Okay, so this name list is there, and this list is released by IMD in April 2020. And accordingly, in sequence, these names are given to tropical cyclones. Briefly, let me tell you the names. In initial, let's say, part, this table is being followed. For example, Nisarg, Gati, Nivar, Burevi, Tautai, Yas, and now you can see Gulab. It is name given by Pakistan. Remember this also. Okay, which cyclone name is given by which country? As we know that it is name of rose flower, right? So Hindi name Gulab. Then later on there will be Shaheen, Jawad. From time to time, whenever such cyclone is there, we will try to cover this aspect also. This is followed in the sequential manner. Then again like this. Then again like this. Okay, so 13 countries, 13 names in sequential manner. Okay, so you can see India's name: Gati, Tej, Marasu, Aag, Vayu, Vyom or Jhar. So some kind of mythological names and all these things are given. Yes, fine. Iceland elects Europe's first women majority parliament. You can use this as an example reference in your GS1 paper, GS2 4 paper, as well as in essay paper. Let us know about in detail. Iceland became the first country in Europe to have more women than men in the parliament. So what is the majority? In the 63 seat parliament, 33 are women now, comprising 52% of the total. No other European country has had more than 50% women lawmakers, with Sweden coming closest at 47%, according to the data by World Bank. Now, around the world, there are 5 other countries currently having parliaments where women hold at least half of the seats. You should be aware about these examples also. Like 2 years back or year back, the Rwanda country was in news for this purpose. 61%, the highest representation. African country, we can say that the third world country and one of the, we can say, low income economy, they have more women representation in the parliament, Rwanda. Then Cuba, Nicaragua and Mexico is also there, and UAE also. Okay, United Arab Emirates. We consider that the Arab countries and the women empowerment. Can you see some kind of, let's say, difference here? So UAE is also having 50% representation. Then Iceland has been the pioneer in gender equality and women's rights, and has topped World Economic Forum's ranking of most egalitarian country for the past 12 years. Egalitarian in terms of ensuring equality in the society on the basis of, let's say, gender, or we can say that the race. All these aspects are there. There is no discrimination there. Egalitarian society. Then Iceland was also first country to elect women as the president in 1980. So it has been progressive in terms of women empowerment. Okay, so try to use these references in your answers. Okay, so yes, what could be answer to this question? Try to attempt it.
The answer, please, sir.
2 and 3.
Yes. Okay. So about CDM, clean development mechanism, we have to find the correct statements. Yes, it is market mechanism developed under Paris Agreement. Incorrect. Not Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol. Now, it helps developed countries to compensate for excess emission of greenhouse gases by acquiring carbon credits. This is correct, right? And it is an example of carbon offsetting. Yes. So this concept is important. Okay, if students are not knowing about this, then problem. Okay, so yes, 2 and 3 is the correct answer. Fine. Okay, so yes, these were important articles. Any question? Let me again tell you that many times students misunderstand that by listening to this The Hindu analysis, everything is covered and I'm not supposed to read the Hindu newspaper. It is not. From first lecture itself, I am continuously emphasizing that at least you should be reading men's related articles on page number 6 and 7. Whatever the identified articles, initially we are talking about them. So either you come, let's say, reading this newspaper in the classroom itself, or you can read these articles later on itself. Okay. So, but you need to read them. Not only to, let's say, understand the article holistically or the issue holistically, but also to understand the language in which the article is written. That language is important for your mains examination. Okay, so Hindu editorial, why they say that it is important? Largely because of the language which they are using. Okay, so the structuring of the article that can be used for essay paper also, how they structurize these articles. Fine, any question?
So in IR relation, while producing the vaccine raw material, deliberately they are giving the statements, we are stopping the raw material from the USA. Recently has been our employee foreign minister has been discussing regarding stopping of raw material from the USA. After discussion of they are releasing permission. It's a deliberately they are giving the statement that India is depending on USA.
Yes, this is actually some kind of tacticals used, diplomatic, measures that are used to pressurize the country. Right, that is fine, no problem. But yes, surely India has already convinced US to provide those raw materials, and there is some kind of already pressure on US also. We have seen that pressure in terms of, let's say, being the leader of the world, it needs to provide some kind of vaccines to developing and underdeveloped countries because it has technology, it has resources, and we know that India is pharmacy of the world. So we have that manufacturing capacity. So what it needs to do is to provide that technology, provide that raw material to India, and India will provide the vaccines to other countries. In this manner, the cooperation is required, and US know about this because China is not in line, right? US is not going to cooperate with China in this manner, in this regard. Okay, fine then. So yesterday's newspaper discussion you will receive as a recorded video. Fine, and if the students who are having offline here, in between after having lunch, you can attend that lecture also. And yes, tomorrow we'll have the same discussion. Fine? Okay, thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.